You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back for another episode of MinneZona Sports Live. And this is episode 40, people. Episode 40. And by the way, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from no Shield tonight, unfortunately, but we have someone filling in, and you know him because, you know, he is our Minnesota Vikings insider, and his name is, in fact, Mikey. Ryan, let's go. Mikey, welcome back. Thanks for filling in for Shield tonight.
And thanks for having me, guys. I always am ready whenever you guys need me. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for one, we really appreciate you, coming in and filling in and whatnot. But yeah, Shield wish he could be here, but hey, he's got a wedding to go to in Illinois, so that's how things are. Maybe he'll tune in a little later. He said he might, so we got a lot to get through. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him in the comments. I want to see him.
Shield will be ready to go. That's for sure. So claps all around. We've got the zoners waiting for us to talk about what we're going to talk about, and also, we got Mama Callahan and the Callahans chiming in. Welcome, Mikey, as always, and yeah. The zoners are loving it, so let's get rolling with some. I believe it's called Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
So Seymour was just saying, don't get COVID, Shield. And that's what we want to avoid, Shield getting COVID. Shield, social distance, wear a mask, do whatever you need to, okay?
Yeah,
I'm sure he's taking
safe.
that. Yeah, we want him to stay safe. So, but anyway, Mikey, we got to get to Dalvination Part 2. The Vikings with a huge victory over the Detroit. Well, I wouldn't say. It's a huge victory in the manner of, hey, this is the start. We're getting rolling with, who we need to get rolling with. And now that the Vikings get that big one against Detroit, they move on to Chicago. But Mikey, I want your thoughts on the game this past weekend. What do you think?
I thought we played well. Dalvin Cook, everyone saw it. He was absolutely insane. Like, he's by far the best running back. You could make a case for Derrick Henry still, but no one's doing what Dalvin Cook is doing right now. It's absolutely insane. The offensive line, we can say all we want about the pass blocking, and we will get into that later, but the run blocking right now has been absolutely astounding. Like, they are the best run blockers in the NFL probably right now. It's crazy. The defense, we're getting there. I feel like we're getting there. We still got some kinks to work out. We still gave up 20 points to the Detroit Lions, and Matthew Stafford wasn't in there for half the game, pretty much. Special teams, though, we got to talk about special teams because they need to clean up a lot of things, especially those 2 block punts. That's absolutely not allowed. Like, we should be a lot better than that.
Well, you got to question what's going on, too. And not saying that. I feel like they're kind of like, well, we got this game in control. We don't really need to do our assignments. No, you do, because if you do that, then it just shows like, oh, well, we're better than this team, that you don't care. You should care. You should care about this, because I understand it's the Lions. They're not very good, okay? But you have to, show your dominance against them because, I mean, Dalvin was doing fantastic and everything like that. But special teams, KJ Osborne's got to learn to run north and south. And it's pretty simple as a punt returner. Don't try and dance, try to make the highlight play. Just go north and south, okay? I know he's a rookie, and he's going to learn. We'll see what happens with it. But special teams, I agree, Mikey. 2 blocked punts, unacceptable, and I know Zim is probably preaching that right now. So hopefully special teams coach and the guys over there, know what they're doing. But one thing I want to mention, too, Mikey, you used to play offensive line for the University of Mary. What were your thoughts on the O-line this week?
I thought this week, run blocking, I've already said it, they looked astounding. Like, they were just moving bodies left and right. Every push looked like they were at least getting 2 to 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, which in terms of run blocking, it's like you can't do better than that. That you're moving the line at least 3 yards forward. You could put like Kirk Cousins, you could put Mike Zimmer back there running the football. He would still get 4 yards on that just based off of the movement off the offensive line, which that itself, you're going to get first downs every time doing that. Pass blocking, they were better this week. They still had a lot to fix up. I know, especially like Garrett Bradbury, he had a couple of snaps and like a couple of reps here and there. You're going to lose. Like, you're facing NFL talent. Like, you can't win every rep, but some of them looked like he had control and he still lost. So he needs to clean it up. Dakota Dozier, he needs to clean up a little bit of his pass blocking, but I've been really, really impressed with Ezra Cleveland over the past 2 games. He has been a stud at guard. Whoever put him in at guard needs a pay raise at this point.
Yeah, and I've been very critical of Rick Dennison, and I'm just glad that they found a guy that kind of fits the scheme right, and him at guard. Obviously, he played tackle in college at Boise State, but he's done a really good job to make sure that he's clearing up the running lanes. I mean, when you're going up against a team like the Green Bay Packers and you're able to mow down all these guys, especially their front 4 is really good. Kenny Clark, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith. He's done a really good job with the screen game. He's found the guys to take out while he's going out on screens and whatnot. And Dalvin just does his thing. Okay, as long as you can make a block downfield, and you give Dalvin room, it's almost. I mean, Dalvin's just fantastic when it comes to that. And a lot of people were talking about, well, we need Dalvin to win games. Yes, we do. We absolutely do. And, C. Moore just said it right here with Kirk Cousins looks so amazing handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook, which is true. It is true. But Kirk, as long as Kirk doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't, make any huge mistakes, and as long as the line can hold their blocks for a little bit with the play action and whatnot, then I think they're in good shape. Now, during this game, I mean, it was complete Dalvination. And I said it before. I said, Dalvin's going to dominate this game. You just watch. And he did. He dominated the game. And people are like, well, what about us not giving the ball to Jefferson and Thielen? Keep giving it to Dalvin. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And that's what it came down to. But I agree with you on the fact of the defense. But defensively, I feel like they're starting to, understand what they need to do. Jeff Gladney, for one, has done a great job. Armon Watts has had a lot of good interior push up the middle. I'd like to see more from Wanham and still a little bit more from Afadi just getting to the quarterback. But they had a couple sacks, a couple interceptions. And, Mikey, I got to ask you this one, too. Your thoughts on Eric Kendricks. He has got to be one of the best middle linebackers in the game. The best pass coverage linebacker in the game. How good was he last week?
He's absolutely insane. And I remember when he was coming out of college, everyone's like, why are we picking up Eric Kendricks? And I believe we picked him up in the 2nd round. And I was like, it's a 2nd round middle linebacker. He'll do good. And then he just came on the scene, and he's only gotten better every year. He is so quick to recognize pass and get back and get into his coverage. It's amazing. Run blocking, run fits. He's amazing still. Like, he's he's technically undersized for a middle linebacker, but he's still at the point of attack. He's taking on offensive lineman blocks, shedding them, and still getting the tackle at the time. It's absolutely incredible. We haven't had a good middle linebacker like this since what? EJ Henderson.
Yeah.
And EJ Henderson was all just run. He was like a pure just middle linebacker back in like the early 2000s, mid 1990s, where he's just run fit and he doesn't do much for pass protection. But Eric Kendricks is a true hybrid. He's one of the best at his game, at his craft right now.
Just think if we didn't have that type of person, especially with not even having Harry. The veteran presence is showing. Losing Barr, Eric Wilson has been tremendous. He has been so good. He's gotten 3 interceptions already on the season, and he's a linebacker. I mean, that is something that you got to make note of too. So they just got to keep this up, and you keep giving it to Dalvin. Don't give the other team many possessions, and especially when you're going up against the Bears. I mean, defensively, they're still good. I mean, we have to remember that. And so, I want to move on to this game against the Bears. It's a Monday night game. Here come the primetime Kirk Cousins people. He can't win in primetime. He can't do this. He can't do this. But I feel like the Bears are going to come into this game knowing we stopped Dalvin Cook. I feel like we can stop the Vikings. So, I mean, Mikey, what do you think about this game coming up? Monday night, they know Dalvin, they're going to give the ball to Dalvin a lot. So what do the Vikings do if Dalvin can't get going?
Yeah, I feel like even if we can't get Dalvin going, they still have to respect it at some point, most throughout the game. They will put everybody in the box. They'll put 8. They'll put 9 people in the box because they know we have to get Dalvin going to get our entire offense going. That's where we're going to have the one-on-one matchups out on the outside. We're going to have receivers to win those one-on-one matchups, especially with Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They're going to win those matchups 75% of the time, I feel. We just have to give Kirk Cousins enough time when they're starting to blitz and they're knowing that we're moving away from the run game. He's just got to win those one-on-one battles. He's got to get the ball to them at the right time, and that's when we'll win. We'll win there. If for some reason the Bears has an off day and we get Dalvin going, we're going to win. No problem. With the way Dalvin's playing right now, we could hand him the ball 100% of the time, and I feel like we still have a shot at winning, even if they put 11 men in the box. It sounds ridiculous, but that's how good he's playing right now.
Yeah, right. And, they have to think of ways to... Here we go. This is a stat that a lot of people make note of, and that's fine. Kirk Cousins, 0 of 9 on Monday night. We knew that. Zimmer is 0 4 against Matt Nagy. That's true. And granted, this is coming from a Packer fan, too, so just remember that. But you can't ignore those stats. You can't, because it is true. Kirk Cousins hasn't been good on Monday night, okay? Zim has, at this point, hasn't done well against Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy has dominated the Minnesota Vikings all the times that he's been coaching against them. And he's found ways to exploit, Zimmer's defense. And offensively, it's frustrating. But if you have to, the one thing that you have to make sure of is you cannot let Khalil Mack control the game. So it's just crazy. Also, Seymour says, the Bears just threw another incomplete pass on 3rd down during this recording. Oh, man. Seymour, you're one of a kind, my friend. One of a kind. Especially with our little Twitter exchange the other day. But that's true. You got to get to Nick Foles. And you know what? Nick Foles hasn't played that well. So, Afadi, want him, and hopefully we get Dantzler back just to add some more depth with the corners as well. And, to answer the question that I asked you, Mikey, I feel like Kirk has to step up now. This is the time to say, screw that record, screw everybody else. I'm going to go out there and give it my all. I'm going to get the ball to Jefferson, Thielen, Rudy, Irv. All those guys. They're going to get it to Dalvin on screens. Maybe they're going to kind of, look to him in the passing game maybe a little bit more than the past couple games. But we have to remember that they cannot turn over the ball, especially let Khalil Mack control this game. Because if Khalil Mack keeps getting to Kirk, it's almost going to be game over. It's just going to be the same thing that's been happening, every time that they've played the Bears at Soldier Field. I don't know what it is about Soldier Field, Mikey. I just don't know what it is. But they just do not play well against them at Soldier Field. Monday night will be a game where the Bears will stop the run, and it will come down to whether Kirk Cousins can win the game or not. Exactly what I'm saying,
Yep.
Seymour. And it will. And I feel like Kirk, like I said, Kirk, you got to go in there saying, F everybody else. I'm going to go out there and play my best game. Do it. Please. We need you.
We need it.
At least the Vikings don't have to worry about Chase Daniel. Yeah, that's true. That was a rough game. That was definitely a rough game. And that was when Diggs had his little, incident as well. But, I won't ask you for a prediction, Mikey, because, I feel like I don't want to make this prediction, especially because we're at Chicago. So I don't want to even go that route. But, just to say this too, if Dalvin can get going, I feel like I don't see where they lose this game, right? But, again, that's going to be the main point. Akeem Hicks, that dude is a monster. So it's going to be a huge test for Bradbury, for Ezra Cleveland, Dakota Dozier. I mean, can you figure out ways to get Dalvin past him? Because the guy is like a beast. He's almost a brick wall as well. And then Khalil Mack does well with his run defense. So we'll see. Again, Monday night game, of course, this happens. The Vikings don't do as well in prime time. But if you want to, make a run here, you got to get by the Bears. Okay? You got to get by the Bears. And then the schedule gets a little bit easier from here. So, fingers crossed that things go well. But anyway, Mikey, I think that'll conclude our Viking talk for this Tater Tot Hot Take. But we got one more. We've got the Gophers with the big win over Illinois this past week. And, I don't know what it is about Minnesota running backs, Mikey, but Mohibret Ibrahim has kind of been like the Dalvin Cook to the Gophers right now. The guy has been fantastic. He had 224, I think it was rushing yards. 224 rushing yards on 30 carries. And he became the first Big Ten back to tally consecutive games with 200 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns within a season since Larry Johnson in 2002. So that's interesting. But, I mean, it's just crazy how well they've been running the ball. But they get their first win. So, Mikey, I mean, is it going to be helpful for them, playing Iowa this upcoming Friday? I mean, I feel like this is a good momentum shift after losing their first 2 games. So what do you think?
Yeah, it is definitely a good momentum shift, 100%. Like, winning a game and going into a big game like Iowa's always been tough for Minnesota. Like, just as a casual fan, I guess not a casual fan, I've been a diehard Gophers fan, my entire life. But yeah, no, it's great momentum. Mohamed Ibrahim, like you said, Minnesota running backs, they're hot right now. You can't bet against them. Like, if we get Ibrahim going, this game might be crazy. I know I was always about, hey, we're gonna run the football, we're gonna play good defense, just like every other Big Ten team. But yeah, if we get Ibrahim going and the defense plays, if they get better, they've been getting better every week. They were really bad in the first game.
Yeah.
They were like against Maryland. Oh boy, against Maryland they were like not great either. But they got better. They got better last week. If they get better this week and Ibrahim gets going and Tanner Morgan steps up a little bit more, he plays more like last year than he has been this year. I think we can eke out a win.
I think so too. And they lost to Iowa last year, and I felt like that was a game that they needed to win big time. And them against Illinois, they had to beat this team. There's no way if they lost this game, I don't know what to think of the Gophers if they lost against Illinois, because Illinois is not that good. And this is a team that they, pretty much dominated. Agent Zero, Rashad Bateman, he had a big game as well. He had about, 7 or 10 receptions, 139 receiving yards, and a touchdown, a great touchdown. His first touchdown of the season, which is kind of, surprising. But Rashad Bateman has kind of been the shining light of this offense, Ibrahim as well. I mean, offensively, I'm really not that worried. Tanner Morgan, he had an okay game. He didn't, play awful or anything like that. But the Gophers are trending in the right direction right now. And if they can go into Iowa and get the Floyd of Rosedale back to Minnesota, it'll be a start, because then, they got to take on Wisconsin coming up. Hopefully it doesn't cancel their season. More to come for ARA. But it's going to be interesting to see, how they fare after Iowa. But don't look past Iowa. I should say that right now. Don't look past Iowa. But we got to get to our zoners. Seymour, who's in a worse place right now in the Big Ten? Michigan or Penn State? That's a great question.
That's tough.
That's a great question. Mikey, you want to answer first?
I think I will. I just think, based off of pedigree, I think Michigan's probably in a worse state right now. I mean, they beat the Gophers week 1, but after that, they've just looked awful. Absolutely awful. Penn State, they have not looked much better, but Penn State, yes, they've had pedigree as well, but Michigan State has always been one of those powerhouse teams in the Big Ten. Say what you will about the past I don't know 20 not 25 years past 2 decades of Michigan football where they're always good but they can't get over the hump. They're always usually in the contention. This year is not that. They looked really, really bad over the past couple of games. So it's I have to give it to Michigan. It's close, but I have to give it to them. Them being in the worst state.
I look at when they play Penn State yet, and it's to be determined, obviously. They play November 28th. But, man, Penn State, they've been really dropping the ball. I mean, they're supposed to be a top, team here. And, they keep losing games left and right. I mean, Michigan beat Minnesota. Yeah, we get that. First game of the season. Big whoop, right? But, yeah, Penn State, I don't know what's going on with them. They lost to Indiana in OT. Indiana's really good, though. They're ranked 10th in the nation. And, I mean, they lost to Ohio State. Ohio State's a good team. Maryland, they lost to Maryland. I mean, Maryland, here's what I'll say about Maryland, okay? The Gophers don't have a good defense. The Gophers should have won that game. Just saying. Yeah. But when you lose to Maryland 35-19, maybe I'm going to say Penn State. I feel like Penn State's kind of in a rough. But you can't let Harbaugh off the hook because Harbaugh has not done what they were hoping the Michigan was hoping he would do is beat Ohio State. Hasn't done it. So
exactly.
Matt says Michigan still hasn't recovered from losing to Appalachian State. That's why I love our zoners. They just come up with some great one-liners. So props to you, Mets, even though you're a Packer fan. Tua's brother is the real deal at Maryland. He played really well against the Gophers, and not saying that, just because the Gophers are bad defense. Well, hey, if you're putting up over 400 yards and throwing a lot of touchdown passes, you're pretty good. So, I agree, Seymour. I think Tua's brother's been doing a great job as well. But, yeah, I mean, going back to the Gophers, I feel like, that again, another statement game. And, the Fleck effect has to be put in full motion against Iowa this week against the Hawkeyes. So, hopefully the Gophers can get it done. Mikey, what do you think? I mean, are the Gophers going to get it done against Iowa or what?
It's always a tough game. I think it's at Iowa too, so it's gonna be tough. I believe it's at Iowa. But
maybe our zoners can check that. I think that's
maybe
at
they
TCF.
can fact check me.
Yeah, I'm gonna fact
but
check
I want to say that they might be able to eke it out. Things have to go well for us, no doubt about it. Our defense has to play well because Iowa's going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball hard, and they've known for running the ball since the dawn of time. They're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So we have to stop that, and then we also have to get our offense going. Yeah. We have to get it going. If we get it going, like Rashad Bateman, insane right now. He's great wide receiver. Muhammad Ibrahim, hot hand. You might as well try to ride him out too. So if Tanner Morgan can play well, and the rest of the offense can click, I think we have a shot at winning this. I'm not going to count the Gophers out. I think we have a shot at winning it.
Let's get a trophy. I mean, we lost Little Brown Jug. We need the Floyd of Rosedale. So Let's get it going for the Gophs. So, again, another game to look out. It's on a Friday, so make sure that when you're tuning in, don't think they're playing Saturday. They're actually playing this Friday, so at 6 p.m., which is interesting. But whatever works, right? But anyway, Mikey, we got to move on to our next segment. I don't know if you played this with Shield and I, but it's called Table Topics, and some of the zoners have played it. We've got some really cool table topics this week, so let's make sure that, give us your thoughts. Because it's not just us speaking, it's you guys too, so make sure you comment and give us your thoughts. So let's do some table topics, shall we?
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right, it's time for some table topics. And Mikey, we have a set of these awesome topics. And the zoners are going to like these as well. So I have 4 of them here. And if we only get through 3, that's fine. Because we got to get to ARA. Because we got a lot of good things going for ARA this week. So the first question, not only to you, Mikey, but to the zoners. So make sure you guys chime in as well. This is a good one now. Do you have any sporting equipment from your childhood? So, Mikey, hit us. What do you got?
I definitely have some sporting equipment. I do not have props with me right now because they are in the attic of my garage. But I still have plenty of sporting equipment from my childhood. I have old football pads up there. I have old hockey equipment. My parents just like to keep them because they're like, hey, when you get kids or when your siblings get kids, we'll just pass them down to them. So if you gave me 10 minutes, I would run out there. I would grab a whole hockey bag full of stuff, and I could just pull it out for days. So yes, I still do have the old stuff.
Well, exactly, and it's always fun to go back and check out things like that. I mean, it's so much fun to wax nostalgic, as some people like to say, about kind of some of your old things. I don't know if I have any football pads left. I think Papa Callahan definitely took care of those and either tossed them or gave them back to West St. Paul. Who knows? But Seymour, he still has his baseball glove from senior year of high school, which is pretty cool because that's. Having baseball gloves, I think, are pretty common too. But that's something that you keep. That's a good point. I still have my first baseman's mitt from it was my freshman year of high school. So yeah, it's a nice mitt, and whenever playing catch or something like that, I always use that mitt because it was always it's just something about first baseman's mitts that were always fun.
They were fun.
Things like that, the baseball gloves. I used to have these arm guards too, for football. Oh. They're nice.
Yeah, I remember those arm guards. I had those in middle school.
Yeah.
Oh God, I would just when you were first taught not to actually block with your hands and block with your forearms before, I would just have those strapped onto me all the time.
Right. And I used to use them, and they worked pretty well, and obviously it was something that, you would enjoy, and, and especially it's I can use this to, go up on the face mask or something like that. Obviously, I don't think you can do that now. But, I don't know. Probably cleats are gone and everything, but, Mikey, when you played football in high school, you used to have gloves, right? For blocking and whatnot. Do you still have those, or are those long gone?
I think the gloves are long gone. I know.
I would assume. Yeah.
I had them taped together. I think they were falling apart my senior year because I had them for like 2 to 3 years or whatever. But yeah, no, I threw those out, I think, after senior year. But I do still have, if anyone is from St. Thomas, they'll know the retro throwback jerseys, those very dark navy blue jerseys.
Yeah.
I still have that in my closet. I actually dug it out the other day because I was looking for one of the like this Power Trip shirt. I think it was like a Rosie shirt or something like that. I was looking for it, but I found it back there. I'm like, what the heck is this from? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's that old jersey they gave us like right after the game. I was like, it was kind of a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a cool thing to see, old jerseys and things like that. I know I have a couple of those, but, some of them you just got to say, all right, it was good. It was fun, but not real fun. Toss. But anyway, I mean, things like that, baseball, especially I feel like you can keep a lot of baseball stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I still have my wiffle ball bat, the Mike Piazza wiffle ball bat, which is pretty sick, if I say so myself. But with Table Topics 2, we also have a fact here on these Table Topics. Shout out to Mama Callahan. The first season of Professional Ultimate Frisbee began in April 2013. So all of you disc players, and I do have a course literally right next to my apartment. Me and the Kerf Doctor throw a little disc. It's a 9-hole course, but yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that. That's kind of interesting, though. I mean, it's something to make note of.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a little bit older than that, but yeah, 2013, that's kind of recent.
Mama Callahan, or possibly Papa Callahan, pretty sure your inline skates and child safety pads and helmet are in the garage. Oh, yeah, okay, so I know what you're talking about. Now, I don't have like I have like an old helmet for baseball or something like that, but I mean, it's an old thing. We should just toss. Pokemon is on the helmet, I think. I don't think that's. I think that's long gone. It used to be a small ball. You're thinking of the ball. You're thinking of the ball that's in there. We can toss that too. But anyway, there's some things we just got to get rid of. But anyway, that'll do it for that one before this gets going. All right, the next one, and this is interesting too because this one has to do with tailgating. So, Mikey, what's the best tailgating setup you've seen? And not only for us, but the zoners as well. What's the best tailgating setup you've seen? Oops, Pokemon. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Hey, whatever. All right, Mikey.
Gosh, the best tailgate. That's a tough question. But I think I'd have to give it to, I think last year I went down to an Iowa State Texas football game when Texas lost against Iowa State.
Wow.
That was fantastic, by the way. That was a great game.
Oh, I'm
but
sure.
there was one dude, he had, I think it was like 4 campers. He had them all lined up in a little square. So we got in because he let us in or something like that. I forget how we get in exactly. But regardless, they had flat screens literally on the entire side of all of the campers. You went in and it looks like you just went into a sports bar. It was insane. They were just handing out beers left and right. They didn't care. They're Iowans. They're literally, their bloodstream is probably 50% alcohol at that point. But no, that had to be the best one because I've never seen such commitment to getting the game day experience like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember when tailgates were a thing pre-COVID. Those were pretty sweet times. But I've been to a couple, and obviously I've been to some SMSU ones, and obviously it's just a bunch of pickups and, grills and, people throwing football around and anything like that. But I haven't heard of that. Yours is very interesting, Mikey. But I feel like, the best setup that I've seen is probably when, I went to a Vikings game with Papa Callahan at the Metrodome. So obviously this was before US Bank and everything like that. But we used to go to, Vikings games, Twins games. I mean, it's unlike any other, and obviously there's a lot of fans that do it. I mean, there was literally, I think, actually, now that I think of it, there was somebody that had a Vikings camper, and I tell you what, Mikey, it had everything. I mean, it had, Vikings logo, it had, Vikings chairs, Vikings overhang, and whatnot. Vikings grill, Vikings spatula. I mean, anything you can think of. I mean, it was a complete super fan. Maybe even more super fan than me, but I consider myself, But at the same time, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, just all these Vikings logos and everything like that. And I didn't go in. I mean, it was just from a distance. I'm looking. I'm like, I was like, man, look at that. That's really cool. That's a lot of dedication. That's for sure. There's a lot of dedicated Vikings fans. But yeah, that's probably the most I've seen. I mean, SMSU's tailgate is interesting. It's just a bunch of cars in line and things like that. But it's a fun time. I'll say that. All right, Lambeau Field, tailgating everywhere, including at the houses where you park on their yard. I don't care about Lambeau Field. Mets just needs to. I mean, but I guess for a tailgating, standpoint, it does. I mean, it is good. It is good. I'll give them that. But still, it's the Packers, and they can, whatever. All right, College World Series in Omaha. Fans from 8 different areas show great hospitality. Oh, I'm sure. I've heard nothing but good things about the College World Series, especially in Omaha. I know some friends that have gone down there, and they say it's a fantastic time. But it's... I feel like the college football experience, too, I think you can't discredit. I mean, obviously with COVID, let's say pre-COVID and everything like that. The Gophers setup's pretty nice. But just think of Alabama, LSU, Clemson now, too. I mean, the tailgating setup's got to be just phenomenal over there. And who can forget Bills Mafia as well? I mean, they're tailgating. Oh, God. I mean, they're crazy.
They are absolute rubes up there.
It's true. But, I mean, it's interesting to see, all these tailgating setups. There's always something different. People going through tables for the Bills and things like that, which is funny. But, obviously, I don't think I'd want to go through a table. This isn't WWE, people. But anyway. Sticking with college, though, the top tailgating schools, we're going to start from 6 to 1, kind of like Infinity Rankings. I kind of like the way that they do this. Number 6, the University of Tennessee. Okay, I can see that. Number 5, Ohio State. Yeah, I could see that.
They're big.
University of Washington.
That's an interesting one.
Interesting. And third, Clemson University. And I think this is more than evident now. For sure. So they're at number 3. 2, University of Florida. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Number 1, I bet you it's still an SEC team. Okay, and the zoners can chime in here too, who they think is number 1. But the number 1 team is an SEC school. Mikey, you want to take a guess at it?
SEC. My guess is probably going to be like Florida State because it's Florida. They have great weather. It's got to be like Florida State or something like that.
Oh, now this is interesting. For Washington has a lake that people can boat to the game. Okay, that's pretty freaking cool.
I
didn't know that.
That is good.
Yeah, that is pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to lie. So thanks for the info there, Seymour. Appreciate it. Georgia, Met says. You guys, I mean, you're not completely off. This is going to come as a surprise because someone explained it to me, though. The University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, is number 1 on this list. And I'm not joking, okay? This is what it says.
Wow.
This is what it says. So, unless someone knows more about the tailgating thing, let me know, I mean, with the University of Mississippi, what kind of setup, what things they do and everything. And I'm sure it is. And again, these table topics are from, the source is Bleacher Report, it says on the table topic, but this is from, I got this back when I was in college too. So, I mean, this could easily change. So just keep that in mind. But it is interesting to, look back and on that as well. So, all right, I think we have time for one more, but... I think this one, Mississippi has the Grove. It's a legendary tailgate area.
Oh, see, yep, there we go.
So that would make sense. So that would make a ton of sense. So yeah, University of Mississippi, number 1. So I don't think this has changed much anyway. So I think that makes sense. But I did not know that. That is very interesting. But the next one, and I think this one's interesting because I feel like a lot of the zoners can, relate to this one because they've seen this before. And I think I know what Metz is going to go with here, too. Did you gain a new appreciation for the officiating after the 2012 NFL referee lockout? Mikey, what do you think?
This one is kind of a mixed bag for me. For one, yes, I did gain a new appreciation, of course. Like, the NFL officiating has been better. You can make an argument for that now, though, with like how like wishy-washy they are with like what's a catch, what's not a catch, what's pass interference, what's not pass interference. But those are subjective calls. Like at least the pass interference, the catch, they need to hammer that down at some point. They need to get a concrete thing in there. It's like define what a catch is, define what a catch is not, and figure it out from there. But I will bring up just for Metzler that I would want to go back to the old refs just to play the Packers because they get screwed out of it every time. I will take the old refs against the Packers all the time because they will lose every game.
That's why people say the Packers get all the calls. They brought the refs back. It's not a bad.
True.
It's true.
It's true.
Metz isn't wrong on that front. So I got to give him props for that one. But I guess for me, it's kind of, like you said, it's kind of a mixed bag, Mikey. And they weren't good. And I feel like they were kind of thrown to the wolves a little bit because, they weren't really expecting to do this. But again, you have to be ready at any moment, right? And obviously with the Packers call and Packers-Seahawks call, I mean, it was one of those things where, of course, this happens to referees. But one thing I do want to mention, too, is people can be really vile towards, the referees. And, I am no saint when it comes to, some bad calls and whatnot. And 2009 NFC Championship game. But we don't talk about that yet. We're saving that for a special occasion. But I feel like whenever there was a call like that, it's like, well, it could have affected this and that. It was a regular season game, okay? And, again, it didn't turn out in the Packers' favor. And, again, but technically the rule is tie goes to the receiver, I believe. And if I'm wrong on that, someone let me know. But I believe that's the rule, and technically Golden Tate still had his arm in there. But, it's, all jokes aside, you gain a little bit of appreciation. There are some hey, this is a good question here too. C-Money, did Dez catch the ball? That's a great question.
That's always a controversial one.
It's a very controversial. He was diving for the goal line too to, get to where he needed to go. That's a call that got into the Packers' favor now. So we have to remember that. But again, it's the Cowboys, so I could care less, right? But at the same time, I think Dez probably did. I don't know. There's a lot of people that think there's a lot of people that think he did too, and I think there's some people that it's like, well, technically he didn't because, I mean, what about the Calvin Johnson catch against the Bears to win the game? He caught the ball 2 feet down and he put the ball down right there. That should have just been a touchdown nonetheless. Well, he has to complete the process of the catch. What is a catch anymore? It's just, it's crazy, but
it's ridiculous.
It is. MD Jennings had possession first, and I believe he did as well. And again, I could care less. It's the Packers, but I'd have to look at that one again. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I do believe that's what happened. But this fact's just kind of very, very, very basic. Football has more rules than any other American sport. There you go. That's the fact. Sorry, this is what it says, people. This is what it says. That's what it says. A catch is what the opposition gets when Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball. Oh, man, you just love ripping on Kirk, don't you, Seymour? I don't know what to do with you, man. Jeez. But hey, it's funny. It's funny. All fun here on MinneZona Sports Live. So, but anyway, that's going to do it for Table Topics. Hey, guys, thanks for chiming in. That was really fun. And obviously, we're going to do it again. And hopefully, maybe we get Mikey and Shield on here, and then all three of us and then the Zoners chime in as well. So, hey, this might not be the last time we do it. But, Mikey, we got to get to the Zoners' favorite segment. My favorite segment, your favorite segment, the Shield's favorite segment. It's time for some Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it's time for some Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you... Oh, wait. No, Voldy's not here. I thought we were going really well with that. Come on, Matty C. No, but anyway, starting off with the ARA, as Voldy likes to say, we're going to the college football route because we kind of alluded to this earlier, Mikey, but there's been a lot of games that have been canceled, postponed, and everything like that. So one, I want to mention too, the SEC announced Monday the upcoming football game between Mississippi State and Auburn has been postponed, tentatively rescheduled to December 12th, so there's hope that this game will be played. The game was initially scheduled to take place Saturday in Mississippi. So basically the news comes after they shut down activities on Monday. Mississippi State did amid an outbreak of positive COVID-19 tests. Obviously, pandemic, cases are going up and whatnot. And they're not the only team, because we just learned that Ohio State and Maryland, their game has been canceled. So, Mikey, is it absurd or approved the way that the NCAA has been handling all these, these games right now?
Mm-hmm. I have to say it's absurd. I have to say it. It's from day one. It's just been. I feel like for college football in itself, it's been ridiculously absurd. Just based off the NCAA, they took no initiative to create guidelines or anything like that for the entire thing. They left it to the colleges to deal with. And still now they have some guidelines in there now, but they're so late to the game. And they're being so reactive instead of proactive to these cases where the season could be in jeopardy. Like it's going to be in jeopardy. It's like I could realistically see in 2 to 3 weeks college football being done.
Wow.
That could be absurd statement of the year. It could be a preposterous statement of the year award right there. But I think it might be the case. It's just ridiculous. I always took the stance of if you can't have people in class, or students in class, or students on campus, you should not have a college football team this year. Like it should be like that because they are students first, athletes second. Or if you're a student athlete, if you've ever been, it's a student first, a college athlete second.
Well, I want to make sure we get to our zone, but Seymour is just killing it with his comments tonight. Are the fans that rushed the field at Notre Dame still in quarantine on the field? I don't know. Who knows? But that was dumb. I will say that what they did after, and that was dumb. And of course, people just don't care at this point with the COVID, and that's troubling. It's troubling because Minnesota here, positive cases are over 5,000. I mean, it was record number of deaths, which is very concerning, and sad at the same time as well. But getting back to how the question, I think I'm with you. I think it's absurd because they didn't handle this right at the beginning, okay? Now, all these positive tests are coming in and everything like that. Like, everyone knows it's going to happen at some point. But it hasn't gotten to a level for the NFL, they've been able to be flexible. College football has to be flexible now. Now, if games are getting canceled and, things like that, they might not have no choice. But the protocol. I mean, you question what's going on with the players. How is the virus spreading, and things like that. And I think you have to get to that point saying it could be in jeopardy. It very well could be in jeopardy, the college football season. Now, we got to see how this all, plays out. But although I can't blame the Notre Dame fans for rushing the field. It's their biggest win since 1992. I was born then. That's how outdated Notre Dame has become. I take it Seymour doesn't like Notre Dame. Oh, well. Again, I mean, it's too good. Kevin Warren is looking smarter and smarter each day. Okay, and I do like Kevin Warren. I obviously he's with the Vikings and everything like that, and I think he's done a good job. The thing is what's going on with some of these schools? Why are all these outbreaks happening? So, again, I mean, a lot of these outbreaks, especially, I mean, LSU and Alabama, that got postponed. I mean, that's a huge game, and again, you have to think of the players first, and you want to make sure everybody's safe, okay? I'm getting, it's tough, and I feel like there should be no fans at any of these games right now.
Yeah,
because
100%.
Because I feel like, not saying like it's the fans' fault. I'm not saying it's the fans' fault, but I feel like it would keep the fans safe as well if they weren't, there. But, not saying it'll affect the players. But the players, what are they doing? Is it just happening? They're doing everything right and everything. Then, okay, fine. But I don't know. There's something about this that seems kind of off. That's just me. Kevin Warren eventually caved in. They were going to lose players to transferring and get owned in recruiting if they didn't start up. It's true. It's true. There's a lot of, there's so much to this that we don't know. And, know at this point to say, this could be in jeopardy. Just throwing that out there. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, but it's true. You got to really think about it. So me and Mikey think it's absurd, but we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But moving on to the MLB. This one's interesting. Okay? Tony La Russa in February was arrested for a DUI. And this is quite interesting because he was just recently hired by the White Sox. And now we're hearing about this arrest report. And according to ESPN's Jeff Passan, okay, this is kind of interesting. This is very... La Russa tried to use his Major League Baseball credentials with the arresting officer. Okay, did you see my ring? La Russa said. I'm a Hall of Famer baseball person. I'm legit. I'm a Hall of Famer, brother. Buddy, it doesn't make... Mikey, is it... It's obviously absurd, so why do you think it's absurd? Because I'm going to answer it for you.
It's the whole situation is absurd. The hiring, I will give it a tentative approval if he wrongs his rights and stays off the bottle, doesn't drive, and does it that way. That's a tentative approval. Tentative. But the entire story, absolutely absurd. Like, who does that? Who uses their MLB ring as a one-time out for a DUI? Like, no cop is ever going to let you go off of that.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying right here.
It's just ridiculous. Like, it's almost like I'm at a loss for words of how ridiculous it could be.
This is just getting crazy. About to be the second straight year a manager gets fired before coaching a game. Well, it seems like they knew about it, and they're not inflicting any discipline from what I'm reading right now. But that could change. And Tony La Russa is like he's like 73. So why are you getting drunk? Why are you doing all that? And and trying to use your pedigree to be like, look at me, I got, I got a ring here and everything like that. Like, shut up. It's just, it's absurd beyond belief. Seymour says White Sox manager Rick Renteria takes third in voting for AL Manager of the Year and proceeds to get fired. It's true. I feel like the White Sox organization right now is just so dysfunctional because I was hearing that there were some people that wanted to keep Renteria, and then I'm hearing some people that didn't want anything to do with Russa because it's like, well, how's he going to connect with the younger guys and whatnot? But knowing that this guy had a Dewey, and especially what he said to the arresting officer, what the hell's the matter with you? I don't even know if I'd want him as my manager then, but it's absurd. And obviously, I'm surprised the White Sox were like, no, we're still going to hire you because, we really want you. Apparently, they just really want Tony La Russa. So, but again, not to discredit, he is a very good manager for, the Cardinals. He's won a World Series and not 73. He's 76. La Russa is 76.
Ooh.
I mean, that's even, wow. But,
jeez,
I don't know. We know Manfred won't do anything. That's true. Manfred's been a train wreck. But, yeah, Mikey thinks it's absurd, and I'm sure the zoners right now agree with that as well. It's absurd beyond belief. All right, this is technically my last one, because then we're going to send it over to Mikey, because he's got two as well that he wants to talk about. This one's interesting, because the thing is we come up with these interesting ARAs, because I feel like Voldy finds a lot of good gems, but I feel like we hit a gold mine here too. So the Atlanta Falcons waived former first-round draft pick Takk McKinley. He's a pretty good player for the Falcons, and Takk wasn't really feeling. He wanted to be traded apparently, and he expressed his desire to be traded before the trade deadline and took to social media. Think before you tweet, and I will get to that in a second. Think before you tweet to say that the Falcons turned down a 5th and 6th round draft pick offers from multiple teams despite his request to be traded. Okay? And I think from McKinley's perspective, I don't know if he wanted to just get out of there or whatnot. I mean, he totaled 17.5 sacks in 49 career games. That's not bad. That's really not that bad. But he took to social media, criticizing them for not trading him. And again, think before you tweet. So when he sent those tweets, what happens? Oh, bye. The Atlanta Falcons say bye. So, Mikey, do you think it's absurd or approved that the Falcons took the action that they did?
I think it's approved on the Falcons' standpoint. You have to get rid of that in the locker room. Like, there's a time and place for trying to negotiate either trades or just straight moves on from the teams or contract negotiations, anything like that. You keep that off of social media because it creates bad media for the entire team, and then the whole rest of the locker room has to deal with it, and then it just festers in there, and people get mad at each other. It's not a good thing, and it's probably good that the Falcons just cut the cancer because they were having a bad season already. They blew 3 fourth quarter leads already or something ridiculous
they beat
that.
the Vikings, so that's.
They did. Let's not talk about that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, I think it's approved that they waived him right away.
Yeah, this is what he said now, and again, it's really not terrible by any means. These Atlanta Falcons turned down a second-round draft pick when I requested to get a trade last year. Okay, so there's a lot of tension with the Falcons and Takk McKinley. The same Atlanta Falcons turned down a 5th and 6th round draft pick from multiple teams when I requested to get traded this year. I only have 17.5 career sacks, and then he put 3 clown emojis, so... I think when the Falcons saw that, they're like, you know what? since he wants to be traded, we're going to do something different. We're going to waive you. So it's got my stamp of approval because Takk, you don't want to go that route. And when you take to Twitter, and especially when your employer knows how to find your Twitter, especially with, social media these days, keep your thoughts to yourself. Okay? Don't go to Twitter. Talk with the team. Okay? And I'm sure you have. I'm sure he has. But again, you're only making this worse. Matt says, sounds like a Cleveland Brown already. But the thing is that Takk McKinley is actually a Cincinnati Bengal now. The Bengals claimed him off waivers today. So he got picked up by a team, which, again, on the Bengals' part was smart. Hopefully, things go well, and hopefully it's not controversial or anything like that. So Takk McKinley is a good player, and I think, don't take to Twitter. Don't pull a Diggs, okay? And the thing is, he wasn't cryptic about it. He was blunt about it with Takk McKinley. Diggs was just subtweeting it and stupid stuff like that. But it's got my stamp of approval that the Falcons did that. They said, you know what? We'll see you later. Get out of here. But he's a good player, so, again, they wanted to get some value, and they turned down some picks and whatnot. But, hey, it's their loss, so. All right, Mikey, let's send it over to you for our next one, please.
Yeah, we got two stories here. All right, first one is the NFC East. The leader in the division right now is 3-4-1 with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the rest are either 2-6 or 2-7. That being the Washington Redskins, the Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Jets. And I believe I saw a prediction out there saying that one of these teams could realistically go 6-10 or 6-9-1 and still reach the playoffs with a home game. So, DJ Matty C, absurd or approved the abolishment of the NFC East from the NFL?
Well, I know there's a lot of NFC East people among the zoners, and one of them being my uncle and my aunt. But they agree. The Eagles have been not very good. Carson Wentz has been up and down. But they're starting to get some people back, so that could change now. That could very much change. The Cowboys lost cause this year. Dak gone. They're on whatever practice squad quarterback that's in there. Almost beat the Steelers, though, so I give them some credit for that. But they're not going anywhere this year. Which it's unfortunate. They have a lot of talent with Amari, CeeDee Lamb. Zeke has been terrible for my fantasy team, but no one cares about my fantasy team, so we're not going to go into that. But the one thing I will say is that the abolishment of the NFC East is kind of warranted at this point. Not saying that you outright just abolish it and whatnot, because they won't. But the Giants are terrible. I mean, when you have a team that doesn't have a name and then doesn't want to figure out a name till 2021, 2022, you know that this is just a terrible division. And it's a dysfunctional division. And you have all these characters in this division, and with Jerry Jones, and then you have Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator for New York, and New York's starting. They lose Saquon and everything, but still, New York hasn't been good, and I feel like they let go of Pat Shurmur too quickly. Love Pat Shurmur, but they've been just terrible. The Eagles have all these up and down games. Carson Wentz has been awful here. Miles Sanders has been hurt. I mean, everyone's been hurt for the Eagles. But I feel like if it's one team, the Eagles, I feel like, are probably going to win this division. Because Washington football team, unless Alex Smith really goes off, because I do like Alex Smith. I really do. And, obviously with this injury and everything, it seems like Kyle Allen's out for the rest of the year. So Washington football team could come on a little. I mean, Chase Young's still a beast, absolute beast. So, we'll see what happens with the Washington football team. Going to see more here. Eagles, when they return their players, hit by that massive plague of injuries to start the year, they will be competent. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, too, because they're starting to get a little bit healthier now. And, they're going to win the division, I believe. So, Alex Smith will lead the Washington football team with one leg behind his back. Fair enough.
Oh my God.
That was such a terrible injury. I mean, Alex Smith, I really like his comeback story's been phenomenal. So, but Mikey, what do you think?
I was the one that brought it up, so I think it's approved to abolish the NFC East right now.
Right.
They are awful football. If you have the displeasure of watching them on Sunday, it's been bad. I think I tuned in for Washington, or the Washington redacted football team, and the New York Giants. I watched it for about 3 quarters. I thought it was a comedy show for like half of it. It was so funny. I believe there was one play. I can't remember when it was exactly, but I believe Washington fumbled it, and it took both teams like a grand total of 15 seconds to try to recover that football. It was about the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, but yes, to give them credit, the Philadelphia Eagles have been hampered with injuries. So have the Dallas Cowboys, but they're the Cowboys, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't care about the Eagles either.
Well, sure.
Which, granted, how they treated the Minnesota Vikings fans like 2 years, in
sure.
2017. Yeah. But there at least will be a competent football team when they come back. Carson Wentz has been playing very iffy. He's on and off this year. But they could realistically come out with like an 8-7-1 or a 7-8-1 record and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I can see that. So, right. But for right now, as of November 11th of 2020, just cut this division out of the league.
Yeah, because why the heck not, as the Curve Doctor likes to say as well. So cut it out, right? All right, last one. Mikey, hit us.
Yeah. All right. So we have, for the last one, we have the New York Jets. They apparently had security cameras still in the locker room. And the NFL Players Association is looking into a complaint filed by the New York Jets players about them because apparently they were still activated this entire time and they chose not to tell the players about them. So it's an invasion of privacy. And among other things, they did say that a couple players knew when they had security issues about stolen items and stuff like that. But so DJ Matty C, absurd or approved, the Jets having hidden cameras in their locker room.
Oh, it's absurd. And honestly, that whole franchise has been a disgrace this whole year. And honestly, for the past couple of years now. I said this yesterday. And Seymour knows what I'm talking about because we had a little exchange on Twitter there. But Adam Gase needs to be fired. And I get the tanking for Trevor bit. Yes, we get it. But yeah, he's technically helping them lose these games, which he's a terrible one. Mm-hmm. Jets are just absurd in general. Exactly. And it's
exactly.
Yeah, and we're on the same page. And I understand the Adam Gase thing is like they're doing what they're supposed to do to tank for Trevor and whatnot. And that's fine. But with that personnel, right now, they won't, at best, they might win 1, maybe 2 games, okay? If you fire Adam Gase now, it doesn't matter if you fire, okay, if they fire him after the season, fine, whatever, cool, go ahead. I think you need to fire this guy now and find a coach that can maybe work with Trevor Lawrence, and I don't know what you're going to do about Darnold, because they do still have Sam Darnold, but if you want to go that route, find him a better coach. I'm sorry. Adam Gase is a terrible head coach, okay? And I don't know, he was a good offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, but ever since then, good Lord, with the Dolphins, he's been terrible. But the Jets, he's not the answer. The players won't even play for the guy, for goodness sake. Le'Veon Bell wanted out. They tossed him out. That was supposed to be the Jets' crown jewel right there. And what did he do? He didn't do anything. And it's like, well, I wonder if Le'Veon Bell blamed the coach. And maybe at this point, I don't know. Got to keep losing to keep the number 1 pick, so Gase is doing his job. I'm not going to get into this again. But at the same time, if he's doing it, again, maybe that's what he needs is a Trevor Lawrence type of guy. But with Tannehill, he didn't do much. Tannehill's flourishing over in Tennessee now. So, hey, Seymour, with the, you like in Tennessee so much. I mean, Tannehill's been doing really well. But Adam Gase, they'll fire him after the season. I get that, but I just don't think he's a very good coach. So I think but for the hidden cameras aspect, I mean, what the hell are you guys doing? I mean, what are you trying to keep up on? Well, we want to make sure no one's spreading COVID and everything like that. That's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
No wonder why you guys are 0-9 right now, or 0-8, or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, it's absurd. You can't do that, and hopefully they throw out some punishment. So it's going to be great when Sam Darnold is killing it with the Colts next season. That's very possible. Get him a coach that can actually get him to where he can go. So, Mikey, what do you think?
Yeah, no, this whole organization situation, whatever you want to call it, all of it's absurd.
Oh yeah,
it's honestly ridiculous that this has been going on. The Jets have been bad for so long at this point. It's been ridiculous. Like, what, you have to go back to when they had Rex Ryan. That's the last time they were. That's the last time they were. And that was 2 seasons. And then before that, you had to wait until Bill Parcells and Vinny Testaverde. Back when you had those guys, or maybe when you had Chad Pennington and I forget the coach's name. It was a Bill Parcells person. But this organization's been terrible. It's been absolutely awful. And this might be a hot take. I should have brought it up during hot takes, but I'm going to tell it now. If I am Trevor Lawrence and the Jets have the first pick, I stay at Clemson. I stay at Clemson. They're going to ruin his career if he goes to the Jets. He has to stay back.
Nice.
Oh, that's a hot take. And you might not be wrong. Seymour, the Jets are certainly not playing to win the game. Yeah, that's true. True. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love Herm Edwards though. I'm a big fan of Herm. That's one of the best rants of all time. Hello, you play to win the game. That's so funny. The New York football teams have a combined record of 2-14. Thank you, Mets, for that. That is just, oh my God. So yeah, not only abolish the NFC East, but abolish the Jets in general. Who cares about that Super Bowl with Namath, right?
Just get them out.
Get them out of here. So, but yeah, obviously everyone else thinks it's absurd, but again, it's an invasion of privacy. You shouldn't be doing that, and I think people should be fired, to be honest with you. So. But anyway, it's time for... actually, we're not doing Shield shoutouts this week. This is awkward. But, Mikey tuned in last week. He has a top 10 infamous list. So, Mikey, before we get going, we gotta play something real quick. Okay, give me a sec.
Here's the list no one wants to be on. Infamous Top 10.
All right, Mikey, we just got a couple minutes left, so just rattle through them. Very brief. I don't have a list, but you hit us with it. Go.
All right, we're going to start from bottom to top. So number 10, I have to give it to Skip Bayless, just because it's Skip Bayless. He's there. He does it for a reason. It gets him clicks. It gets him the media coverage and everything like that. But Skip Bayless, he always has absurd takes. He only knows one sport, and that might be college basketball or football. But it's everything else. He has no idea what he's talking about. Number 9 is going to be Jamarcus Russell. You might not have heard of this, but he's trying to make a comeback to the NFL this year or next year, which no one's going to take him. Absolutely absurd. Number 8, Johnny Manziel. That's a given at this point. DJ Mattisey and Vold have talked about it to length end. So I'm not going to touch on it more than that. Number 7, MLB. I thought the MLB was ridiculous this year, not getting anywhere near. They only got 60 games in when they could have at least gotten 100 games or 120 games in. And just their whole COVID situation, it's just ridiculous. Number 6 is Jerry Jones. I just think he needs to step down, from the Dallas Cowboys. He is trying to micromanage way too much. He can't do it anymore. It's not 1990s. It's not your dynasty. Just get away from the franchise. Let them try to move on from that. Number 5 is Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, we all know, has been crazy. Everyone's been guessing that he might have like CTE or some kind of brain like illness. It's unfortunate, but he's just acting like a clown. Get him out of there. Number 4 is Sean Payton. He's part of the Aints. He's ridiculous. Like, I agree with DJ Matty C. Get this guy out of here. Especially like he's just dumb.
You could probably, I mean, honestly, you could probably combine Sean Payton and Greg Williams with it. No.
Greg Williams is part of the Sean Payton thing.
Oh yeah.
I will always have a grudge against that 2009 game. Always. I can never get over it. Number 3, Michael Thomas. He just needs to shut up at some point. He just needs to shut up. He's a good receiver. I will give him that. He's a great receiver, but if he wants to earn my respect, he needs to get off social media. Stop being a huge baby. Just stop it. Number 2 is Adam Gase. He was going to be my number 1 this year, but someone else might have done it. But Adam Gase, like we talked to him last one for ARA, he just needs to get out. He needs to get out. He's ridiculous. He's the worst coach in probably the history of coaching. And that might be absurd. It might be an absurd statement. Processor Statement of the Year award, another tick for that one.
Absurd statement. Yeah.
He's been awful. It's just ridiculous. Number 1 in Jameis. Not only because of like all the stuff that he's done before, but just because of last week where he won and then he decided to make a W and try to eat it. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? That's just stupid. But I couldn't put them on the list because they are leagues and ahead above everyone else. Number 0 is the New York Jets. And that's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say. Well, for one, see more Vikings fans still bitter about losing the NFC Championship game by ripping on the Aints. Well, it's true. I mean, they did cheat to win. That's one thing. They had Bountygate and whatnot, and then there's some awful calls, and I've never seen so many awful calls in one game before for one.
It's honestly ridiculous.
And I'm not trying to be biased about it because it was true. I mean, you look at the Ben Lieber, the Meacham Phantom catch. Okay, I can't get into this. We're saving this for a show.
We'll be on this for another 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, we can't get into that one. But anyway, Mikey, thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate you filling in for Shield, and obviously we'll have you on again. So, hey.
Yeah.
We'll keep in touch, and we appreciate you doing that. But before we get going, though, there's a couple things we got to get through. Q&A Thursdays, we're still doing it. I think Shield might be doing it tomorrow. But, hey, go over to the Instagrams, check us out, and make sure, oh, gosh, what a bad call was made when AP fumbled the ball. Okay, yes, we understand the fumbles. Harvin had one, I think, and whatnot. We're not getting into that, Seymour. Not getting into that. Okay, we're waiting. But Q&A Thursdays, ask us whatever. Go to the Instagrams, check us out and whatnot, and we'll get it done for you. The next thing that we have to talk about as well is shirts. Hey, if you don't have a MinneZona shirt, you can still buy one. Talk to me, talk to Shield, talk to Kerf Doctor, talk to the birthday guy, Jimbo Vold. He's got you covered with everything like that. So happy birthday to Jimbo. $20 for the shirt, $5 shipping. But, hey, you might not have to pay it if you live close by to Jimbo. So, hey, it could just be $20. But $20, $5 shipping. Mikey has the shirt. It's 5 stars out of 5 stars. So
I would give it 6 stars out of 5 stars if I could. It's that good. I think about ordering another one all the time. It's the most comfortable shirt I've worn in a long time.
There you go. See? There you go. That's your plug right there. All right. But anyway, moving on to another thing we got to bring up, W2 Performance. Will Rattel. Mikey, you know Will Rattel. You used to play football with Will Rattel. He has W2 Performance. His podcast is the Barbell Nerds Podcast. Make sure you check him out, W2 Performance. I can't wait to have him on again, and we chat about things, especially the whole instance with Matt Ryan and whatnot. So we got to have an interview with that in person, so you can see the reactions and whatnot. So make sure you check out W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds podcast, and whatnot. And then make sure you check out Jack's Junkyard, Jack Kiesling, very loyal zoner, doing Jack's Junkyard, a very good show. I've checked it out a couple times, so hey, it's a great time. It's a great time. So shout out to Jack Kiesling. So anyway, that's going to do it for MinneZona Sports Live. Again, Mikey, thank you for filling in for Shield, and we're going to have you on again. I mean, it's going to happen. So, that's how we're going to do it here. But make sure you guys keep checking us out. We keep giving you all the fun stuff. So hey, you guys have a good night, and remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.